Ukraine will join the EU. This won't happen tomorrow, but it will happen at some point in the future, and it will change the economic reality of the European Union. Beyond the obvious expansion east for the European club for cool kids that Germany wants to turbocharge trade with. So, what will the EU actually look like with an integrated Ukraine? Well, you've clicked on the right video. Welcome to the What Happens to the EU when Ukraine joins economically video. Let's start with some simple math. The EU is home to about 445 million people, and with the addition of about 40 million Ukrainians, this means, yep, the EU will soon become home to 485 million people. That's like 3.8 Mexicos, 9.5 South Koreas, or 485 Djiboutis. Anyway, in terms of the economy, there are three main areas to look at, because that makes life simple. 1. Rebuild. 2. Resources. And 3. Integration. Let's start with the last one, because we're a group of rebels. 3. Despite its geographic proximity, Ukraine did relatively little trade with the EU. Before the war, it exported about the same to Germany as it did to India. In Europe, that's just strange. When Ukraine eventually joins the EU, trade will be one of the areas that will flourish. Remember, Ukraine has never really been able to freely move towards trading with the wealthier Europeans to its west, for the fear that, well, let's say, justified fear. The stability and confidence that EU companies and Ukrainian companies will have to trade with one another once Ukraine joins the group will literally cause a trade boom, much like we saw in the mid-2000s with new Central and Eastern European members. As long as Ukraine doesn't become a nightmare to do business with, economic integration should really improve. 2. Resources. By European terms, Ukraine is a big boy. Many land and many resources. And resources it does have. It has the 26th largest proven reserves of natural gas. It's not an insane amount, but it has about 70% of Norway's proven reserves. And with EU investment and know-how and political will, the level of production could drastically increase. This would serve to A. Keep energy production in-house for the EU, B. Help develop Ukraine, and C. A again, but to be able to reduce reliance on 100% OK places that cause no risk to the EU's energy security or foreign policy. Nice. Also, Ukraine is a major agricultural exporter, and well, this would really mix things up in the EU, since the agricultural industry receives 38 billion euros in subsidies in the EU. How would Ukraine fit into this, and how much more output can be achieved through easier access to EU technology and agricultural practices? This could be a big deal for the many nations that rely on Ukrainian food exports. And 1. Rebuild. This is probably the most important area. Ukraine joining the EU would significantly help the nation rebuild. As important as it is for the EU, US, and the UK to provide financial aid for Ukraine, the process of Ukraine becoming part of the EU will see a lot of investment get thrown at the country. New rail links, for example, that benefit businesses, people, and make the Ukrainian economy more productive. Access to EU infrastructure funding in general to accelerate internet access and reliability, telecommunications, logistics, transport, manufacturing, labor laws, you name it. Joining the EU will give Ukraine's economy a stamp of approval and security, not just for EU companies looking for cheaper labor to manufacture cars or trucks or IKEA beds, but also companies from all over the world that trust the certainty and security that the EU will provide to Ukraine's economy. And with there being also a political aspect that the EU and US will want to show Russia how well Ukraine will be in a 5 to 10 year period after having joined the EU, you can be sure change will happen. So that's it. Ukraine joining the EU would be a pro-gamer move. More pros than cons. Poland is of course an example of a similar sized country that has developed and benefited a lot from joining the EU, and Ukraine can aspire to have a similar level of success. For now though, we just hope for the best. Hey everyone, like the video, give it a like and subscribe. Show some love for Ukraine in the comment section below with the Ukrainian flag. Otherwise, take care. Bye.